Respect. I respect you enough to the point where I want to bring this up to you. If I didn't, there's two ways this could go. I can go and fester this feeling and go and gossip and tell other people, blah, 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 tell me why she did this. And that's what people do, right? And start spreading messages. Why? It was a feeling. Really, that's undealt with. Left undealt with turns into toxicity, right? The respect that I have for myself and you and this, like I view communication as something deep. After we do this work and this is deep to me. We're not just talking. I want to be real. Moving forward, I would like to value our relationship, but it can only exist if we start valuing this scale. Make sense? I don't want you to think you got to jump into it and be like, I'm conscious. Right? That's not always what it is. Sometimes it's like being aware of like, I don't have this space. I do that a lot these days, especially with everything going on. I'm not only here talking to you about what to do in your work. I want to help you in your relationships.
Son, I'm very proud of you, and thank you so much for giving my son this opportunity.
So communication changed my life, guys. Communication changed my life. Not just any communication, but conscious communication. By the end of this presentation, you will learn how to become a more conscious communicator. So communication changed my life, guys. Communication changed my life. Without effectively communicating, I would not have been able to achieve the accomplishments that I would have. I would not be able to move it's a part of me at this point. So not just any communication, but conscious communication. What we mean by that, a mindful and intentional approach to interactions, focusing on self-awareness, empathy, and clarity to foster deeper connections and promote understanding. By the end of this presentation, you will learn how to become a more conscious communicator. Why is this important? We might still be saying, well, I don't really see the value. I'm not only here talking to you about what to do in your work. I want to help you in your relationships, right? Like, what do I mean? I know that sometimes in college, I had to go through things where, and my mom knows this, we've had candid conversations where we've had to have convos like, Mom, I feel bombarded. Like, we can't move with this idea of love anymore. Right? And it always gets quiet, right? Basically, I can't have the capacity to receive in this way if I'm going to be successful in college. So when I'm hearing about my younger siblings and stuff like that, I've had a responsibility that I've inherited and carried all my life, and I have no regrets. But if I'm going to move in a certain way, there is a certain capacity, there's a certain balance that has to happen, and that's the skill of communication that I'm talking about. I believe before we get into conscious communication, everyone, we have to understand the scale. There's a giver and a receiver. What is your student feeling today? How are you feeling today? Like when you show up in the classroom and you're pouring on it, oh my God, you might have an outburst on a student if you're not careful. You know what I'm saying? If you're not mindful of what's your scale today. And so when we think about giver and receiver, we're trying to build intentional relationships, right? Self-awareness. So many students I speak to in today's time, freshmen, sophomore, it doesn't matter the year, college age. These are our next leaders of our generation. People are struggling with purpose, struggling with identity. This is the work I go around doing. Research shows that teachers who effectively communicate with their students can boost student achievement by up to 20%. Do we want more achievement for our students? I mean, I think that's what this is about. Being that I was on the front line serving through floods and fires on campuses, like all kinds of stuff, I know what it feels like to serve and not feel like you're being poured into. Like I know what it feels like to pour into students, and then when you reach out for support, you feel that lack of support that I heard earlier today in this room. But we move mountains, but then when us as the givers, sometimes we don't feel that support, and that affects our work. So I want to come from that standpoint when I say I want your wellness. I want you to succeed, right? But ultimately, I think we want that next generation and those people we serve to be greater than what we've seen before, right? At this time, I want to give my mom just 5 minutes, Mom. We got an hour, so I do want you to grace the group. Can we call my mom? Oh, man. I thought it would be a nice surprise. My mom is going to share. She also has education background and currently, so please, Mom, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Whew. First of all, I want to say, wow, it's got to take a minute. I just want to give God thanks, because without God, I wouldn't be standing here in front of everyone. And son, I'm very proud of you, and thank you so much for giving my son this opportunity. I'm not really a good speaker, but I'm mostly one-on-one. But in front, this is my first time actually speaking in front, so truly it's amazing that when you have God, when you let go and you let God, that's when everything would happen. Or whatever you believe in, that is going to take you through, and just finding strength within yourself when all fails, and you just look within you, because it's God made us, and whatever it is, it's in us. That's truly what kept me when my back was against the wall, and I just said, you know what, God, that's it. So no matter what you go through, I would leave you with this. Just look within you, that what gives you that drive. Is it reading? Is it writing? Is it singing? Whatever gives you that drive and extra energy, you use that to keep you going. Every day I wake up and I say to myself, if I have a moment of feeling sad or feeling not good enough or feeling you're not where you're supposed to be, I look around and I say, but wait a minute, it's July and you live this far, so it must be a purpose and reason why you're still alive. So you tap into that, and you tap into what kept you this long, and you just feed on that, just thinking positive all the time. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Just think positive, and remember, each breath you take is a blessing.
All right, so group activity 1. You guys ready? I know you thought I was going to talk all day, so listen, we're going to exercise from this point on. On the flip side of the scale, the sheet, you'll see the 9 steps to become conscious communicators. I want us to converse with your group. Please meet someone new if you need to, but let's have a conversation about those items. What do you think about them? Are there ones that you connect with more so than the others? Do you feel like this would be successful? Are there ones that you feel you can use more work on? Is there a previous situation that you've had a run-in with this and you're like, man, I need to overcome my fears moving forward? Like, I have a fear of dealing with parents. Like, I love my students, but I don't like when the parents come through to me. Like, that's something I want us to converse about. Like, what do you think about these 9 steps? I want you to talk with each other. We'll do some sharing, see what people came up with. That sound fair? Okay. Beautiful people. Let's get a representative, maybe from 2 tables, please.
As I think back to my teacher position, I think that the giver, receiver, kind of we should find I should find a balance between them, because as a childhood, as a family background, I kind of becomes a receiver, because my parents always told me what you should do. You need to do something like that. Okay, so that's kind of receiver. But I found out when I began doing student teaching, I found only becoming a receiver is not enough for be a good teacher.
It's all about awareness when you communicate. But I wasn't receptive into a person receptive. It's also the behavioral type of thing. I know I went over my 60 seconds, but the words, it did. I know, but I'm going to keep continuing until you tell me to stop. I'm very sad.
The alarm went off. So I didn't tell you I was timing you, but when we speak about conscious, right? You got a parent coming to talk to you guys on pickup, and you don't have all day to maybe unleash, oh my God, and your son, let me just tell you, and they're just like, yo, I just got off work. I just want to pick my baby up. Are you okay? Like, you're supposed to be the teacher, right? Or let's take it a step further. I told you guys I like beyond the classroom. I'm with my partner, just came home from a long day, and I unleash. And I unload, and I overwhelm. Anybody relate to that? Have you ever felt overwhelmed from someone talking to you? Can we be honest for a second? Because I know sometimes when I get off the phone and I feel this type of mood that I didn't go into the call with, I know that that's something I need to look at. Like, this is just going to get you through life. You want to be conscious. But then when we speak about navigating difficult conversations, you're going to have to do some more work. Like emotions, this thing is lifelong. So when we're thinking about difficult conversations, that's when you might have mastered this. It becomes tricky now. Emotions get involved. Other variables come into play, right? He say, she say, mine over yours. And suddenly you start to compromise the steps you once believed in. So let's move forward. I have a proposition for you all. All right. We're getting ready to wrap up. But temp check, how we feeling? You guys good? Yeah. Hanging in there still? Okay. We almost through. Anybody ever did acting by chance before? Role playing, acting? Okay. Awesome. So do we have any volunteers to act before I choose? Yeah. All right. Come on down. Yeah, let's do it. Let's clap him up. Let's give him some excitement. Yeah. All right. Can we get 2 more? I'm not afraid to pick people. I just want to be fair. Here we go. Clap her up. Come on. Hey. Okay. All right. So here's what we'll do. We just need 2 minutes to get the script right and let my people know what they're doing. Okay. Do you guys need props? You guys need chairs? You all right? Yeah, let's grab some chairs. Over here? Okay. All right. Acting group, are we ready? Yes? Collective, yes? All right, cool. All right, audience, you guys ready? Audience ready? All right. Don't sleep on me now. This is the good part. Cool. So we're observing, right? We don't know who's who. Obviously, you'll get it after a while, but you want to first identify giver, receiver, who's who, what's the scenario, and then what they could have done better, what could have been improved, or maybe things weren't great. I don't even know. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Man, like this is, I can't with this student, man.
Mr. Dixon, I do not like how you treat my child today. I am
What do you
not-
mean?
Excuse me,
Huh?
she came home and she told me how you spoke to her.
And you believe her?
Yes, I did.
Why?
That's my child.
Uh-huh.
You're supposed
But
to
don't you
let
know
her
that?
run
Don't
away.
you know? Don't you know?
I don't know. Mr. Dixon, are you standing there with your hands in your pocket? Really? Honey, you see how they treat our kids?
No, but you know how your kids act though.
Mr. Dixon. It's beautiful.
Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon.
Oh man, let me find out. Hold on. Welcome to District 75. Let's give them another round of applause. All right. Nice job, nice job, guys. Nice job. Netflix, I want to see the thumb. I want to see what happens. Oh man, so much jewels. I mean, I know my mom is full of talents, but okay, mama, I gotta bring her with me, ready. You know she deals with parents and stuff. Was that good? I thought that was good. That was live. That was in the moment. A lot of great things, a lot of other things. Let's share. Audience, what did you see? What could have been improved?
Like we mentioned before about choosing words and, tone with intentionality. Like your mom and Dr. Gibson were both like, oh, thank you. They were both fueled with emotion. So it didn't matter what they were saying and who they were talking to because they were both so hot and in the moment that they both had to be right.
Yeah, my mom was ready. You just took the jacket off. Yo. It's like, okay, where's this scene going? I asked them to set it themselves, but I asked them to be in the moment. Or else this wouldn't be an exercise, right? I mean, there's other ways parents come. We won't try to depict this perception that all parents are like that. But I want to get you in an uncomfortable position, right? I want you to remember how to be conscious even in moments of pressure. And so, question, who initially gave in this scenario? Who was the initial giver? Not a trick question. So why I ask that though is I think sometimes it can flip. So I don't want you to feel committed to a giver. I'll say this. Every giver should be at some point comfortable with receiving. To be a successful giver. Does that make sense? Yeah. To be a successful receiver, you should also know, okay, hold on, I'm getting overwhelmed. My cup is overflowing. Hey, do you mind if we rain check this? Because I got some stuff to do. Or you might even be transparent when you build that emotional intelligence. Say, hey, I don't really have the space today, with all due respect. My favorite thing to do these days, I say, my spirit don't feel right now. I feel a little unsettled. Do you mind if we check back on this another time? And what that does is initiates the person to, one, respect your boundaries. And also, it allows you to step in your voice. I find that a lot of times we feel more comfortable with being sorry for people and being that servant. I'm a huge believer in service, but there is a line to draw, right? Like you can't pour from an empty cup. And so being a servant doesn't mean being a floor mat to get walked on. You have to be aware of your boundaries, even if it's a student. I think it can help the student if you say, hey, right now, can I check back with you towards the end of the day? I'm just going to deal with something. And you might not disclose everything with a student, but what it is setting that boundary. Does that make sense? And so I want to leave you guys with this resource because that was the last one. Oh man, did you guys enjoy most of the day? Yeah? Oh man, I'm so excited. That makes me feel happy. So quick resource. You want to write this down, okay? For conflict resolution in particular, I want to leave you guys with this. I would love to go into the whole thing, but this is a quick rule of thumb. We want to make sure we're focusing on, here we go, firm. Number one, the fact. What is the facts? What are the facts of the situation? Not how you felt necessarily. That might not be a fact. But what are the facts? We all know what proven facts are. Like, this is what happened and this is not what happened, right? Next, the impact. You want to focus on the impact that it had, right? What did it really do? Let's be honest. Don't jack things out of proportion. You got some people do that too, right? Make it bigger than it is. Or don't downplay yourself. Don't undersell yourself. Like, be honest about how you feel. And be authentic with your feelings. Because that can hurt you and the receiver down the line. Next, I want you to do respect. You got to respect yourself first. Believe me, to get into this right here, you have to have a certain amount of respect for yourself. To begin voicing your concern and consciously communicating in any of this work, to become a teacher, right? To become a servant. Like I heard one time in I think it was in the summit, Dr. Yearwood, where they said teaching is a calling. And I remember that. And I'm like, oh, I like that. Because I connect with that. Some teachers changed my life. Like teachers who really sat and listened to me and poured into me and didn't just say, oh, John, I think you could be a counselor. Oh, the work you do sounds like social work. You should go in. And all those are great fields, but speak to my heart. That's not what my heart's saying. And I'm trying to tell you that. And so that's a whole other thing with advisors and stuff like that. But an example of when you don't consciously communicate, you miss the whole message. So respect. Respect the giver. Respect yourself. Respect the receiver. And lastly, moving forward. It's always a great idea to end on a high note if you value the relationship. But even if you don't, you can say, moving forward, I'm not sure if I have the capacity to deal with this relationship anymore. I'm not sure if this is a good idea. And so it looks different, right? Depending on student. I'm trying to talk to you guys on all levels. But it looks different. You're going to edit that accordingly. Of course, you won't count a student out and check out on them, right? But you want to utilize this method. It's a good rule of thumb. Is that helpful? Right? Firm, right? Facts, impact, respect, moving forward. I'll give you a quick example of how it looks. I was talking with a close friend of mine at the time, and something that was said, it was a quick joke, but if not addressed, it would have been swept under the carpet. One of those. It's kind of like it stayed with you, but nobody else noticed. It's like, damn, I went home and I'm like, damn, why am I still reflecting on this? Anytime I have that moment, I feel I want to bring it to the person's attention. What I found, guys, in my experience, I was always scared because I'm like, I don't want to look this way. I don't know how it's going to sound. I don't know if the receiver's how am I going to look? People going to think I'm too high for new. I'm too uppity. I'm trying to check them. I'm really not. I just want to share what's on my heart. What I found is that at the end of that, you not only free yourself up. Oh man, I can't explain to you guys the feeling when you consciously communicate, but you help the receiver. A lot of times I've noticed the receiver didn't even know they was offending me. You thought this was a joke? But it's important to respect. People come from different backgrounds. It's okay. That's how they joke. It's your job to hold yourself accountable and then help people along the way. That makes sense? So what it looked like for me was, hey, the fact is this joke was said during a lunch. Like I felt like it was inappropriate. I don't like how that made me feel. I know it was a joke. It really, I could tell you had no malicious intent, but it hit me. I don't feel like that was appropriate for the moment. If we professionals and we of age and I'm confused, everything else is okay. But when we got to check each other, we can't have that conversation. I don't like that. I don't live like that. We got to be able to do both. Not just when I'm up. When I'm feeling down too, you got to be able to hear me out. That's the fact. The impact, here's what it did to me. I'm still thinking about it, and it's like 2 days later. That's impact, right? Or whatever your impact is. Respect. I respect you enough to the point where I want to bring this up to you. If I didn't, there's 2 ways this could go. I can go and fester this feeling and go and gossip and tell other people, tell me why she did this. And that's what people do, right? And start spreading messages. Why? It was a feeling. Really, that's undealt with. Left undealt with turns into toxicity, right? The respect that I have for myself and you and this, like I view communication as something deep. After we do this work and this is deep to me. We're not just talking. I want to be real. Moving forward, I would like to value our relationship, but it can only exist if we start valuing this scale. Make sense? Firm, a good rule of thumb. There's a whole longer thing, but I figured I'd leave you guys with that. That sound good? You guys feeling good? All right. Yeah. Give yourselves a round of applause. We finished. I don't want you to think you got to jump into it and be like, I'm conscious. Right? That's not always what it is. Sometimes it's like being aware of like, I don't have this space. I do that a lot these days, especially with everything going on this day and age. Over consuming media. You got so much stuff thrown at you. I mean, you refresh your page, you got about 10 new stuff on social media. It's like what? Ads on YouTube. I mean, people just constantly trying to make you consume. You've got to be aware of your capacity. Like sign off things, log off, take breaks, communicate, speak up, right? Like people won't know. Don't assume that they should know. Say your scale, right? Like communicate your scale. So maybe we should revisit this and then taking a break. I'm big on self-care. I always try to include that in my work. Having done res life and higher ed and just seeing how much work can become a part of your personal life. That is serious. And I really want you guys to remember that, all right?
I just finished Mr. John Johnson's his presentation. I thought it was the most amazing thing sitting here from 9 o'clock to 3. He was one of the best. But I can tell you this one thing. This is supposed to be an educational thing, but I also took it as a life experience too. The reason why I'm saying this life is because communication is a lot. And if we can't communicate properly to one another, then all you're going to have is confusion, frustration, hatred. You name it, all the negatives, that's what's going to come of it. So not only is this practice is just for educational, but it's life. Learning how to speak to others, appropriate, and understand the awareness around everybody. Just being conscious. So I give 5 thumbs, 5, whatever you want, 20 stars for this man. Go see him. Listen to him. He is full of knowledge. I tell you the truth. Thanks.
So John's presentation ended, and quite honestly, it was amazing. Communication is something that's so important, not only in our individual lives, but in the lives of ourselves as educators. And oftentimes we seem to struggle with that. And that's a testimony that I shared, that through my past experiences, I tend to struggle with communication. And, it's really hard to find ways to improve your communication if you weren't grown up with that, or, these different things. So it was really great hearing John speak about effective communication and the different pointers that he gave us and everything. And it's definitely something that I'm going to take with me, and I'd love to, continue my work.
The best part of the presentation had to be the activities that we had at our tables, and then the acting out scene. So this is definitely a presentation that I hope we can bring back to Queens College and make sure other future educators get to learn from John.
Yes, it's definitely, we recommend it for other teacher preparation programs as well.
Definitely.
Well, this was a very impactful and enriching workshop. John Johnson speaks, very powerful, to the point. I think maybe the most effective part of it was understanding conscious communication and learning to communicate both at the intellectual as well as the emotional level. I would highly recommend John Johnson and his workshops. I think he comes with the authenticity that we expect and desire when people speak publicly. He was transparent and he shared his story, but he also ensured that we were engaged. And I really appreciated it, and I definitely recommend this workshop.
Communication is something that's so important in our lives, not only in the profession of education, but also as individuals, as family members, as, partners.
What I found is that at the end of that, you not only free yourself up. Oh man, I can't explain to you guys the feeling when you consciously communicate. I mean, people just constantly trying to make you consume. You've got to be aware of your capacity. Like, sign off things, log off, take breaks, communicate, speak up, right? Like, people won't know. Don't assume that they should know.
I, shared a testimony that is something that I struggle with, and the things that John spoke about today are things that I'm going to take with me, and it was definitely great.
But you help the receiver. A lot of times I've noticed the receiver didn't even know they was offended.
Especially as teachers, it's really important that we practice communicating, especially with parents and our fellow educators and students. So it's something that we do throughout the day. So this was really beneficial.